Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. I'm just going to call this movie Valerian for short throughout this review because I really don't feel like saying that subtitle over and over again. Valerian comes from writer-director Luc Besson and stars Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne as Valerian and Laureline, and it's based off an old comic book series. And I've never read the source material, and the trailers didn't really do it for me for this movie, so my anticipation going in was pretty low. But I am a sucker for sci-fi fantasy type movies, so there was some mild excitement for me, and this movie from the very beginning is visually captivating. The special effects here are absolutely gorgeous. The world that Luc Besson has crafted here is stunning. I mean, seriously, I think the special effects in this movie should be Oscar nominated come next February. That's how good they look. The space designs, the different environments, the planets, the creatures, all the ships. Everything in this movie is really creative and different, and it's just incredible to look at. With all of that kept in mind, it just makes the rest of this movie even more disappointing. This film is really, really bad. Honestly, Valerian is one of the worst movies I've seen this summer and just this year for 2017 in general. This movie has very few redeeming factors, and a lot of these issues can revert back to the script of this film. Luc Besson clearly shows passion in creating this world here, and that's why it's super disappointing that his script is this bad. The characters are thinly written and boring, and honestly, you don't really connect to them, which is a bad thing. I'll touch on that a little bit later in this review. And the dialogue is just hard to listen to. Now, Dane DeHaan plays the lead here, Valerian, and like I just mentioned, it's hard to connect to these characters, and Dane DeHaan just cannot sell this performance whatsoever. He's clearly supposed to be like the Han Solo or Star-Lord type character of this film, but he's Dane DeHaan. He has no charisma at all, and it's terrible. Like, you honestly kind of hate Valerian, who is the main protagonist of this film. I will say, however, Cara Delevingne, especially, considering the last movie I saw her in was Suicide Squad and I had really low expectation for her performance, she was pretty good in this movie considering how bad everything is around her. Her performance wasn't nearly as bad as DeHaan, and I liked her just a little bit. Now, Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne are supposed to be a couple in this movie, and this is one of the worst displays of on-screen chemistry I have seen in a very long time. There is absolutely no spark between these two. The rest of the cast doesn't really do anything for me, and then there's Rihanna. Hollywood, if this and Battleship aren't enough information, please just stop trying to make Rihanna a movie star. She cannot act to save her life. The action scenes in this movie are okay, I guess. They're serviceable, they provide some mild entertainment, but there really aren't too many of them, and this movie moves along at a ridiculously slow pace. It's kind of a long movie to begin with, and the pacing does not help anything. I found myself wanting to fall asleep many times throughout this film. Also, Alexandre Desplat's score in this movie is extremely boring, and I'm very glad he was fired from doing the Rogue One score because that would have been terrible. There's some pretty cool visual storytelling aspects of this movie, but every time someone starts to talk, it just completely falls apart. And honestly, the thing that this movie reminds me of the most is the Star Wars prequels. This is like the Star Wars prequels, but it doesn't have any of the things that you liked about the Star Wars prequels, because the Star Wars prequels are in the Star Wars universe, and you care about that world. I didn't give a crap about the world of Valerian, and it just falls apart completely. And while I liked a good bit of the crazy sci-fi stuff in this movie, some of it just gets ultimately too weird. It doesn't really make any sense, which is a huge problem. As you can tell, I'm not really very enthusiastic about this movie. This is one of the worst movies 2017. I would not recommend it at all. I'm gonna give Valerian a 3.5 out of 10. I'm sorry guys, I really just cannot recommend this film at all. I did not like Valerian in the slightest. That's just my opinion though. Have you seen Valerian? Please tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Please subscribe to this channel, and this has been Parham with What Do You Know, signing off.